If you're like me and you love making a new routine, trying to start a new habit, but then you end up failing and beating yourself up about it, watch this video, because together we're going to change our mindsets and forgive ourselves and try and understand why these things don't work the way we want them to. One of the big issues with starting a new routine is, more often than not, we've seen something in a video, we've seen something online, or we've read a book and it's given us a routine that we should follow for whatever reason, whether it's self-improvement or to be a better husband, to be a better father, better wife, whatever the reason. Now, we start them. For example, a couple of years ago, I was big into, or really thought that the 5 a.m. club was going to be for me. I don't mind getting up early. I've never really had a problem with getting up early when I need to. So I thought, yeah, 5 a.m. club. I'll get up, I'll do a 20-minute workout, 20-minute journaling, 20-minute meditation, 6 a.m. I've already, achieved my day's goals for my own mental health, and, the days will be perfect. What I quickly found is that getting up at 5 a.m. after going to bed at 10, 11, 12, sometimes later, I was exhausted. I wasn't getting enough sleep, and that is really counterproductive to being a better person, to bettering yourself, because your mood is plummeting by the afternoon, you're struggling. So that just couldn't work for me with my family, with my children. Getting to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock consistently was a real issue. For anybody that's got children, whether they're young or teenagers, they'll know that more often than not, their day's been absolutely fine. Going from school, yeah, all good. But then once bedtime rolls round, they want to tell you about all of the bad things that have happened through the day, whatever was worrying them, concerns about tomorrow. And it's completely normal for a child, a teenager, to do that, but that then delays bedtime. And then if you're looking at your watch thinking, oh, I've got to get up at 5 a.m, that's not improving your life or theirs, or being there for them at a time when they want to discuss it. And it doesn't matter how many times you ask straight from school, it's always that evening. There's a reason that it comes out at that time of night. So that ultimately, it just wouldn't work for me, and I'd end up beating myself up that I was either feeling really tired, or I just stopped doing it, or I didn't get up. I'll try and do it a bit later, and it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because I hadn't really considered or thought about my life or who I am, the things that are going on for me. That's probably the same reason some of the routines that maybe you've tried haven't worked. They seem so good on paper. Another example for me, I always tend to overcomplicate things. As at work or in my daily life, I try to manage my daily jobs. I generally get by just by remembering what I need to do, but sometimes you forget things. So I thought, right, I'm just going to start noting down what I need to get done. I stumbled across bullet journaling, and I love a system. I started looking at it, started researching it, seeing all of the different symbols that you can use for different things, whether it's going on the back burner, this has been moved forward, scheduled. It can become really complicated. I ended up buying a nice journal, drawing out a monthly planner by hand of all of the days, then a weekly planner so I could see the full week and putting in some important meetings. Then I came to drawing a daily spread with 2 days separated into work, home, and hobbies. And before I knew it, it was almost a full-time job just to try and keep on top of this journal. And again, it stops. It can't carry on. It was too much, and that's another reason why things fail, is because we completely overcomplicate things. We make things way more complex than they need to be, and quite often that's because we've seen that it looks great on a YouTube video, but in the real world, things like that are really difficult to stick to. and then we end up beating ourselves up because we've not done what we set out to do, and that's not a great mindset, and that's what we need to change. So when you start making a new routine, you really need to consider your own life, your time you have. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things, and really consider the pros and cons. Is it something that you really want to do? Because if it's something that you enjoy and you genuinely enjoy it, you're much more likely to stick to it. So now, for me, my alarm goes off at 6:30. I wake up, I make a coffee. I absolutely love coffee. I make a cup of tea for my wife. I take it upstairs. We'll sit for 10, 15 minutes having a cup of tea before we wake the kids up, start getting them ready for school. And I do that without fail. It's just become who we are. I enjoy it. And with that, then you've got like a small window of times. For example, you've probably forgotten to iron a cardigan or whatever. You have that bit of peace, and then the mornings hopefully will be a bit smoother. And because it's a routine that I enjoy and I've stuck to, it doesn't become a chore. I don't end up beating myself up about it because I don't fail it, because it's for me, it's my routine that I enjoy. Of course, there's things that I would love to add in, but at this current period of my life, with the sensory lab, my day job, we're trying to. It would be too much for me, for example, to be like, right, I want to learn the guitar. I've got a guitar. I'm rubbish at it, and I would love to dedicate half an hour every night to practice or every morning. But realistically, I just don't have that capacity to get that done. And when you can understand that, and you can appreciate that this might not be the right time in your life, you stop beating yourself up, and your mindset changes, and you start to feel a bit better about yourself. And you can look at routines that really do matter, of doing things that you really do enjoy, and implement them, and you'll find that you'll stick to them much, much easier. Of course, there's some things that you need to do. For example, take medication. Maybe you really struggle with remembering to take your medication. And for something like that, there's a term that's in like atomic habits. It's like habit stacking. So if you do, hopefully you do, always brush your teeth in the morning, like put the medication right on top of your toothpaste, or if you always make a cup of tea in the morning, put it on top of the tea canister. Make an environmental change to trigger to do that habit that you need to do. If you just note it down or rely on remembering, or if you just put a reminder on your phone, you're half asleep, you just swipe the notification, 9 times out of 10 you'll forget about it. But if it's something physically there, out of place, where it would normally be, then your brain will be like, oh yeah, I've got to take my medicine, or I've got to take my supplements, or whatever it is. You will actually do it. And we can use that in lots of different things in our life, like if you did want to learn the guitar, leaving it in the middle of the room when you go to bed, so when you wake up in the morning, it's out of place, you see it. It then triggers that in your mind to actually do the practice, rather than being in the corner or up on a nice thing on the wall. It doesn't then your brain doesn't make that connection to actually do the practice. It's just part of the norm. It blends into the background. So next time you're going to make a routine, keep it simple, as with a lot of things, and make sure what is in your routine are things that you actually enjoy doing or desperately need to do. Don't overload yourself, and don't beat yourself up if things don't plan. Re-look at it. What didn't work? Okay, how can I make it simpler? Is there things I can take out? Do I need to change the timings, or is there environmental changes or cues that I could put into my life to make it easier for me to remember to do them? And then I think you'll feel a lot better about yourself. I'll see you in the next video.